I am always doing videos talking about the taker states and the donor states, which states rely on federal funding the most, and which states are the ones that provide the federal funding for the states who need it. And by and large, blue states are donor states. Every single blue state in this country, with the exception of New Mexico, is a donor state. They take in less federal funding than they put out. And with the exception of three states, Texas, Florida, and one other that I can't remember, every single red state is a taker state. They take more in federal funding than they put out. And in the process of this conversation, one of the things that I pointed out is that red states do not levy enough taxes on their citizens to pay their bills. They have X amount of bills and they bring in this amount of taxes because they want to be known as low state taxes. So then they rely on the federal government to make up the difference. And the federal government gets that money from the blue states. So what we have happening here is we have a bunch of Republicans in a bunch of red states that can't pay their bills, bitching about the blue states being the financial drain on the country while relying on the money that comes from those blue states in order to pay their bills. And when I said that these states don't levy enough taxes, they don't make sure they bring in their fair share of taxes, old boy here loses his shit and says, easy on the appropriate amount. I bet you get a tax return. Where I, for being absolutely fiscally responsible and living within my means and claim zero dependence, still pay thousands of dollars into the federal government. Well, a couple of things here, Skippy. You're talking about the federal government, and I'm talking about state-level taxes. I'm talking about apples, you're talking about oranges. I'm talking about elephants, you're talking about whales. We're not even on the same fucking page. If you have a problem with your taxes on the federal level, who you need to speak to are the Republicans. The tax plan that we are currently operating under was passed in 2017. It was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, otherwise known as the 2017 Trump tax cuts. So if you have a problem with how much you're paying in taxes, call your local Republican representative. Call your Republican senator. Call your Republican president-elect and ask him why the fuck his tax plan screwed you and so many other working-class Americans. Now, if we want to get back to the conversation at hand, which has absolutely nothing to do with how much the federal government takes from you, but rather how much the state you live in levies as far as taxes for your overall tax burden, we can get back to that conversation. And I will stand by my words. The reason why Tennessee needs money from Illinois to pave their roads and pay their state troopers is because Tennessee doesn't levy enough taxes on their people to pay their bills. They want to be known as a low-tax state. And so idiot Republicans from Illinois flee to states like Tennessee all the time thinking, well, I'm going to pay less in taxes. I'm going to get away from this socialistic state of Illinois and I'm going to go live in a low-tax state, not realizing that that state doesn't fucking exist without states like Illinois. That's the conversation we were having. You want to bitch about federal taxes? Go talk to the fucking Republicans.